All right, we'll go ahead and get started. It seems like it's been a year since my last press conference. We've had a lot that's gone on the last 7 days or so. Best news of which we received yesterday when DJ Hayden was not only released from the hospital, but called me and asked if he can come and visit with the team, which he did yesterday evening about 5:15. So it was great to see him. I've seen him almost every day for the last week, and to see the progress that he has made has been remarkable. And he's doing great. He's home resting, and I look forward to seeing him again, hopefully in the next day or two. Again, coming off the disappointing loss Saturday, you know, it's again we felt like we were in it for a while, going toe-to-toe with the best team record-wise in our division. We missed a field goal early that would have given us a lead. They came back, they got a field goal, and the 3 became 10 and became 17, and we got away from trying to establish the run in the second half when the lead became 24-0 after the opening drive of the third quarter. And we were playing catch-up basically the entire afternoon. So it was disappointing. We were on the field, again, way too long defensively and never got into a rhythm on offense. You know, we would have some drives started, and then we'd get a penalty and back us up. We fumbled a snap, turned it over. We would drop a pass, and the drive would stall. And again, those were uncharacteristic of things we did in the games we've won. And again, we don't have that type of margin for error to where we can hurt ourselves when we're trying to execute specifically on offense. So, you know, this week I think it's a great example of two teams, and I mentioned this to our team after the game, that have their backs firmly against the wall. We're both 4-6. We both have 2 games remaining, and we both need to win the 2 games to extend our season and play in a bowl game. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. Marshall is extremely explosive on offense. They go no huddle, up tempo. They throw the ball all over the field. They've got a group of talented receivers, and they've got a couple of freshman running backs as well that they actually run the ball more than people probably think and people probably give them credit for. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us defensively and offensively. We've got to hold on to the football. We've got to sustain drives. We have to run the football against Marshall, and again, find ways to do that. Find ways to move the chains. And of course, we wouldn't mind scoring quickly on offense, but you know, we've got to do a good job in sustaining drives and keeping our defense and their offense off the field as much as we can. So it'll be a big challenge, again, going up to their place. You know, I've got memories of the last time we were there in 2008. I believe it was a Tuesday evening on ESPN, and that's the game where Patrick Edwards suffered the injury as well. So the weather is supposed to be beautiful, and you know, we need to go on the road, play well, and win a football game. Questions? Anybody out is not injured? Yeah, it's a long list right now of who's injured for us.
What was it like yesterday when DJ Hayden came to visit the team?
Well, it was, you know, we had a staff meeting yesterday morning where we've continued to talk about him at length in all of our meetings and with our players. And in the staff meeting, there was a rumor that he was going to get out, and It wasn't verified yesterday morning, and then I got a text from his mother saying he was in fact being released. And then I text DJ, and he and I exchanged texts, and then we talked, and he asked if he could come by and address the team. So we rearranged the schedule a little bit. We had some guys that had a couple of late classes, and then some guys going to see the doctor, and I wanted them all to make sure that they were here. So we pushed our team meeting back from 3:15 to 5:15, and his mother drove him up right to the side of the building, and they got here about 5:15. So I told the team a couple of quick announcements, schedule related and academic related, and then I told them we had a special guest that wanted to say a few words, and they didn't believe it. I told them it was DJ, and my timing was off a little bit. I told them DJ was here, and I looked up, and I probably took for granted it was going to take him a little while just to get in the building from 50 yards outside where the car was. So when I said it was DJ, I know they believed me, but he wasn't here yet, so they're looking around and probably thinking it was not a funny joke I was just trying to make. And I said, no, he's here. And I walked up, and they had him in a chair on wheels, and they were pushing him down the hall, and he came in, and when he came in the door, they gave him a standing ovation, and then he said to me, Coach, I want to walk in. So he got up and took his time and walked up front and sat down and addressed the players for about 15 minutes. It's very special to have him back and to see how well he's doing. I did. I saw a lift in the guys. We didn't practice as long last night. We're going to go longer today. I saw a lift in the guys. I saw an energy I hadn't seen in the previous week after the injury to DJ, and I would expect and anticipate a lot of energy at today's practice because of it as well.
What was the main message of his message to the players?
His main message was never take things for granted, and it wasn't win the game for me. It wasn't necessarily football per se related. It wasn't catch the passes better. It wasn't necessarily block longer. It was take nothing for granted. And he talked about, the opportunities that everybody in here has, not just players, but everybody in here has, and how quickly things can change and they can be taken from you. So his message was extremely clear, and everybody in the room understood it.
When you're dealing with the young athletes you deal with, they're Superman. Nothing can hurt them. Do you feel like the reality of the situation? I mean, it changes their perception and their reality. It
does, and it puts things in perspective for everybody. And I think, as you said, athletes, and to me, I know 18 and 19-year-old males that are not athletes that think they're Superman as well. I think when you're the age that our young men are, you tend to think you're invincible. And, all of a sudden, and I go back to last Tuesday, at the end of stretch, we called the team up, and DJ Hayden actually gave them a little 30-second motivational deal, broke them down, and we split off into our first part of practice, and 20 minutes later, a collision occurs, and his week changes. His life changes. So that message was understood by everybody in the room. Absolutely.
Coach, you talk a lot about your team. You personally, though, how has that affected you?
Well, I said this yesterday. It's I've been a head coach now for give or take 10 or 11 months, but I've been here for 5 years. And there's a little bit of irony maybe, and that might not be the greatest word, but the night before our East Carolina game, in our team meeting, it was just me and the players, and I talked for probably close to 30 minutes about how everybody is so unique, and about how our program's so unique, and about where different guys have come from, their backgrounds, but they're all sitting here in this room together with one common goal, And in that respect, I remember DJ Hayden coming on his official visit like it was yesterday with his family. And, now he's a senior getting ready to be finished in our program. And a number of those guys, So I have said this before, and we live it here. I look at our 125 football student athletes the same way I do my 4 children. And that's how I treat them. That's what I think of them. And when you have to get in your truck and drive over to the hospital and wait for a surgeon to come out and tell you where your child's at and what he's done, that's real life, as they say, as my dad would say. And it was a tough week, but the outcome is going to be what everybody hopes and wants.
Coach, you guys are going on the road and missing a few like veteran players, Ashworth, obviously. How are you accepting that road challenge without some of your veteran players?
Well, it's to summarize what you just asked me, we're going to go on the road with our backs against the wall, try to win a football game with a lack of leaders, a lack of leadership. And we've got to create that from within. We've got to create our own energy. And, we've got to push that aside, the lack of possibly a Charles Sims, Jacoby Ashworth, DJ Hayden. 3 of our 4 captains may not get on the airplane Friday. And we've got to block that out and focus on the task at hand and create our own energy and be excited to play. And I think, with success comes more success. I've heard before and said it before, success breeds success. So we've got to start fast and get some confidence early and, look to other guys to become leaders. And that's something we've talked about. You look out at the games and you look out at practice, and there's Trayvon Stewart as vocal as anybody we got on the defensive side of the football. He's been here a couple months, but he's as much of a leader as we got on defense right now. Offensively, same thing. You look out there and Larry McDuffie is scoring touchdowns, getting excited, rallying the offense. So regardless of age, position, experience, we got to have some guys step up and fill that void. I think it is imperative that we start fast in this game.
Tony, more on that to expand. And the last 2 games, you've fallen behind 28-0 and 41-0. Is there anything you can do differently? Is there things that are happening that are getting you guys off to that slow start, or will you change anything up to maybe correct that?
Well, it's something we think about, we talk about. We've changed practice up to try to, now we come out of stretch and we go right to team for 8 snaps so that they've got to start practice fast, start practice quickly. And, you can look at a number of things. And again, not necessarily taking a 3-0 lead is considered starting fast, but, I would have liked to have seen our demeanor and our reaction and our confidence level had we made that field goal and taken the lead 3-0. We missed the field goal. It deflates you a little bit. They get momentum back. They go down. They get a field goal, and again, we're playing catch up the rest of the day. So, it's something we need to do, and it's there's different ways to try to achieve it. We after the bye week is when we started going to team right after stretch, and then we had a couple games where we started fast. Obviously, we were successful in those games. We've continued that schedule. We've continued to talk about starting fast. Against UTEP, we did. The previous two games, we didn't. So it's something we've got to evaluate and continue to evaluate as coaches. But did we do anything differently in our preparation for UTEP than we did for East Carolina and Tulsa? No, we didn't. So do we need to talk about it more? Do we need to change something at this point? Possibly. But again, whether 3-0 after the field goal is defined as starting fast, it really isn't at that point. But I would have liked to have seen what would have happened after that.
And you kind of also made a point after the game mentioning your defense has been on the field quite a bit, especially the last two games. And I guess it goes along where you talked about needing to run the ball. I guess that will extend drives, take time off the clock. But is it just a matter of getting that offense into some kind of rhythm or where they can at least extend these drives so your defense isn't on the field?
Yeah, extending the drives, if we need to run the football, but if I know we can throw it and move the chains, we throw it and move the chains, and we're not consistent enough right now in the passing game, whether it's protection, whether it's the throws not being accurate, or whether it's drop passes. So if you throw it on first down and it's incomplete for whatever reason, and now you're facing 2nd and 10, and the decision is now, do we run it? Do we throw a screen? Do we throw the ball down the field? Do we go play action? And if we get a couple yards on 2nd down and now you're looking at 3rd and 7, and again, I'm not trying to sound negative, but if we throw it and we don't get the first, we've gone 3 and out and we've taken 27 seconds off the clock. So, we've got to be able to move the chains, whether we have to run it or throw it. We have to be able to sustain drives on offense. And again, I'm not going to stand up here next Tuesday and say, well, we didn't score any points, but our time possession was 30 minutes. We need to sustain drives and go score 7 points. And we need to do that early in the game. I think, again, I probably shouldn't speak for Marshall's team, but I think both teams need to have some success and need to experience some confidence-building plays and early in this game.
Coach, can you talk about the importance of winning these last 2 games for bowl eligibility, and can you talk about the ways your team can grow through that additional practice and for the bowl game?
Well, there's so many things that go along with it. For our seniors that have done such a great job in the time they've been in our program, to send them out with that 13th game and almost a week at some destination, whether it's Houston or New Orleans or wherever it might be, is at the forefront of our minds, and that's our top priority. It obviously helps tremendously in recruiting. When you have a winning season, you're going to a bowl game, you're talking to recruits about that. They can come on visits and watch you prepare for that 13th game. And then as important, as just about anything, is getting those extra practice opportunities in December leading up to the bowl game, which again, last year we used that to move Kenneth Farrow from safety to running back. And that gave him about another 16 practices or so at his new position. So, we've identified some guys already that are candidates for position changes in the spring, and having the opportunity to extend our season and go to a bowl game would allow us to make those changes in December and know if they work, get them some experience, not have to wait till the middle of March to make those moves.
What are the specific updates on the injuries to Ashworth and Sims?
Jacoby Ashworth will not play this week. And Charles Sims will know more on tonight after practice, see where he is out there. He's not going to practice this evening, but he is going to be with our training staff and our strength and conditioning staff, and we'll know more on his status after this evening's practice.